March the 14th, 2025. Guys, we're still in the middle of a live stream waiting on the launch to try to go rescue the astronauts up at the space station that were left there by the last administration. And I was checking to see what was going on over here in Florida before they launched. It's been wind warnings all over the nation. I talked about this in talking about the storm that was coming in a video or two ago. But guys, I'm seeing something I've never seen, and I've seen a lot. And you've been, for over 12 years, you've watched some of these same images, whether it was forest fire smoke coming from California or out of Canada, or it was the Saharan dust layer coming from Africa across the Atlantic and dispersing in our skies. And it gives it a yellow-orange tint. I have never, and I will be 70 in November, I have never seen what I'm seeing now coming out of New Mexico and Texas. Look at this dust storm, guys. This reminds me of back in the Dust Bowl ages. They cut too many trees. They didn't even leave the trees on the fence lines and things like that. Eventually, the winds destroyed everything. And it was buildings were literally covered in sand and dust. Guys, let's look a little closer. What you got is a low pressure system sitting right here. And we've seen, again, the wind warnings. I mentioned that if you look back on the storm coming, that millions would be affected by it. And it's 1,000 miles wide, by the way, that it was all about the wind. But I didn't know it would pick up this much. And here in central Mississippi, where we are at, even though you're not seeing the concentration, you guys in Oklahoma, Texas, and New Mexico now pulling up into, I guess that's Nebraska, guys, that never seen that concentration ever. And I think someone mentioned, look, there's a live video that I've got up now about the launch again to go to the space shuttle. And so I think somebody in there, I mentioned this and someone said they're in Texas, I think, they said they're right in the middle of it. But guys, this is very unusual and it's very unhealthy. It wasn't this large, but back in the 80s, I was working in a place called, it's called Desert Hot Springs, California. It's across from Bob Hopeville, is what I call it over there. But Desert Hot Springs, guys, is a beautiful place. It's in the mountains. And it was back when HBO was coming out. And so we were actually climbing over mountains to install cable television and climbing up poles with big hook ladders into the Desert Hot Springs area. And a beautiful place. I loved it. But the wind would kick up like this, and we would have to just call it quits for the day, pull the ladders down, and we were in the desert and go and sit in a restaurant or something like that until it stopped. And even then, it would blow through the doors. It would take the paint off your vehicles practically, but it would blow through the doors and windows no matter what you did. But and at that time, I wasn't looking at satellite images. Again, this was in the 80s. We were just trying to make it through these storms. But this is very unusual. Let's take a little closer look at it. What it's telling me, you got this low pressure system in the center of the nation. Very, very high winds are going to be involved in this storm. And it's moving in on us. We're supposed to get it tonight and later this evening, and 70 mile per hour winds plus possible tornadoes, things like that. We've had our share. But this has to be very powerful to pick this much dust up. And this is what we got zooming in kind of right in the center of the area. Again, I was looking at this wind right here moving over Florida to see if they may have to cancel that flight to rescue the astronauts up there in the shuttle. And this stuck out like a sore thumb. Again, I've watched this, not just this one, but many satellite images tracking hurricanes and everything else, guys. This is amazing. Some of you guys in Texas, Oklahoma, and this is coming out of the mountain areas of New Mexico. This would be coming out of the, again, the mountains and coming across the Roswell area into West Texas here, and then being pulled. And look right here, if you look very close at the low pressure system, it's been pulled all the way around. It has not quite reconnected here. What that's going to do, guys, is double the amount of dust in the atmosphere when this section of the top starts combining with the lower level. Also, I mentioned in the video a few days ago, you're going to see an uptick in the moisture coming out of the Gulf of America, and that's what we're seeing too. This line is going to become very dangerous for us tonight. Guys, again, this is, for me, to see it visually like this, unprecedented. And I've watched a lot of them. We're watching it, guys, in the comments. Main thing I wanted to do was for you guys in this area to come in the comments and let us know what's going on. What are the conditions? Things like that. Excuse me, my voice is going out. It's a heads up. Be safe.